Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Thursday stream. I am Clifton. I don't know why I introduced myself, but I'm Clifton. And today we're going back to bourbon because I know last week we did some Irish whiskey and some of you might have been a little thrown off. I know, I get it. Bourbon is your thing. Well, at least some of you. Some of you might be Scotch fans. Some of you might be bourbon fans. I'm a little bourbon curious, or whiskey curious, I should say. Donnie, be right back. Gotcha. And you were just chatting with me. I was going to say something, but talk to you in a second. What's everyone doing tonight? How is everyone doing tonight? Wow, I got home literally 15 minutes ago, so it's taking me a minute to get settled. But I think I got everything in front of me, and I'm gonna have a lot to drink tonight, so should be fun. But I did want to start off once. I'll repeat this question probably throughout the night. But it's a discussion on terminology. I actually just posted in a bourbon group right before this, asking people's thoughts on. I know that the typical debate is Tennessee whiskey bourbon, but we're not gonna have that debate. That's a very controversial topic, I know. But this, on the other hand, I'm curious what you guys think about calling Texas whiskey bourbon, or I guess not calling bourbon Texas whiskey. We all know that, well, no, we don't all know. I have too much expectations. Bourbon doesn't have to be made in Kentucky. That's a very clear fact. It can be made anywhere in America. It does have very strict guidelines to be called a bourbon. I do know that with Jack Daniels, their reasoning for not calling their product the reason they call their product a Tennessee whiskey is it's more of a branding thing. They want to lay claim to this being a Tennessee thing. Still, it's technically bourbon. I mean, they do the charcoal filtering, which is the debatable topic. It's does that add something to it that makes it not a bourbon? Texas whiskey, on the other hand, I think they are a little more traditional. Some of them, I think Balcones, obviously, Balcones, Harbinger both consider their products bourbon, which is cool. Obviously. But I guess my question mainly is, do you think there should be a distinction if a whiskey is from Texas or from Tennessee or wherever? Should it be on the label that it's a Texas whiskey? Curious your thoughts. That's my overall question for the night. What's up, Doug? What's up, Guy Davis? Michter's tonight. Awesome. I actually, before I started, I had a little bit of, I just wanted something simple, so I just poured some Old Forester 100 proof. Still not the biggest Old Forester fan, but you know what? For a starter in the night, I had to pour something easy. So, because a lot of these are pretty high proof, so. Yeah, but I wanted to go back into the world of American whiskey after my last stream with Irish. Donnie, that's a good point. He thinks that all whiskey should be required to have where it was distilled on the label. I agree. Now, I know a lot of places put it in the back of the label, so it's kind of hidden. Even this. So these all of Balcones products. Oh, wait. Okay, it does say. It says at the bottom, it says the original Texas whiskey. So Balcones, I know, puts Texas whiskey on the front. But some of them aren't so clear. They'll put it on the back. Like most Kentucky bourbon will put it on the back. But yet I noticed with Texas whiskey and Tennessee whiskey, it's right there on the front. Single barrel proof, Tennessee whiskey. Which, by the way, I realized I never reviewed this on the channel. I'm almost gone. I've been drinking on this one a while. I may have mentioned it on a live stream, but I don't think I did a full review of it. Donnie, you're drinking, Diana poured you some baby blue to drink. Awesome. I actually have never had baby blue. I know it's kind of like the baby brother of True Blue. It's a little bit younger. True Blue is what their standard release of their blue corn whiskey. Again, another topic for the video. Corn whiskey versus bourbon. Is there a difference, at least in taste? We know there's a difference in mash bill, which I'll go into that in a second. So Donnie found a so-called Tennessee whiskey that was bottled in Texas. See, that's where it's to me, this is my personal opinion. I think Texas whiskey has such a distinct, unique flavor that it's kind of warrants its own category. I think every Texas whiskey has a certain note, and if you had Texas whiskey, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's that, I haven't had it tonight yet, so I don't know exactly that note, but once I pour a glass of it, I'll give you that note. but I've noticed across the board, every Texas whiskey I've had always has that same note. So, and Tennessee whiskey, I don't know if that's really the case. I mean, Dickel kind of has their own little thing with the vitamin thing. I'm not a Dickel fan. I'm not normally a Jack Daniels fan, but I gotta say, this right here is a barrel pick from K&L Wine and Spirits. And it is barrel proof single barrel. This guy is 67.05% alcohol, 134 proof. So that is like ridiculous. So I thought about maybe pouring a bit of that tonight, maybe as we have more of a discussion on state, labeling their state on the whiskey. And I think Tennessee and Texas are the big ones in America. I mean, I know there's some Colorado whiskeys out there. There's some Washington whiskeys, like Seattle area. But I think Texas and Tennessee are the big ones that kind of lay ownership to their brand of Texas whiskey. So I am curious to see what you guys think. Do you think they should be very clear about that? Do you think they should not even call it bourbon? I mean, some people are very strongly feel. Some people, even though it's not the legal definition, some people think that bourbon should only come from Kentucky. I'm not one of those people. I think bourbon can come from anywhere, but I think honestly the best bourbon comes from Kentucky. Again, my opinion. I just love Kentucky bourbon. Steven, what's up? Good to see you. I feel like it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you here. That wasn't like a diss. I'm just saying I feel like I haven't seen you, or maybe you've been here and I don't even know. It's Thursday. It's been a long week. What are you guys sipping on? I know there were some Michter's earlier. Guy says, I'm looking forward to having a Texas someday. I don't have the network to get a sample sent here in Indiana. So you guys don't have Balcones there? I'm actually curious because I see Balcones. I saw it in South Carolina. I see it here in California. That's interesting though. I feel like, well, do you have Total Wine near you, guy? Because this Harbinger, it's actually from Iron Root. They have two releases. They have like a lower proof one. This is their higher proof one. This one is 115 proof. So this one they sell at Total Wines. That was, I think, a lot of people. Harbinger, not necessarily Harbinger, but Iron Root is like the first Texas whiskey they saw. But that's interesting. I didn't realize they didn't distribute that much outside of Texas. That's interesting. I guess it's like select markets. Maybe they're doing well in certain markets. Doug also likes the idea of putting the distillery and aging locations. Yeah, I mean, I think so. And especially, that's a good point, aging. Because, like, something could be bottled in a state, but that doesn't mean it has that state's flavor profile. It's aged in Kentucky. Like, let's say a whiskey is aged in Indiana, MGP, and it's bottled in Kentucky. They should have to put both, because I don't think they should just put bottled in Kentucky. Glad I got to try that. Oh, the Harbinger. Yeah, I think, honestly, I used to think Balcones was my favorite Texas distillery. I don't know. That Iron Root is really, really vouching for it. No Balcones in Ontario for 5 years. I guess a little bit more sense why they're not in Canada. I feel like they should still be in most states, so that's interesting. Steven, that's only ones that I ever see are Balcones and Iron Root. And Iron Root is only at Total Wine. Yeah, $50 at Total Wine in Massachusetts. I think that's, Doug, I think that's about what I paid for this one. They had both. They had like the standard release and this one. I was like, I'm gonna go all out if I'm gonna try this brand. So I got the Iron Root, the Harbinger barrel proof. So Donnie sent me a photo. I don't know if I can share it with you guys. So Donnie, you sent me a photo that says Tennessee Longhand whiskey. I'm curious if I can share this with you guys. Just so you guys can see what I'm talking about with Donnie. Maybe. Okay. There. So this is what Donnie just sent me. So Donnie said this is a misleading label. Sorry, that's not like centered or focused. I did want to share it though, because he sent it related to what we're talking about. It says Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey, but he says it's a misleading label. So Donnie, please tell me what is misleading about this, because I am curious. I can't read the label right here, so just curious. Let me know. Yeah. So Texas single malt from 2014. Oh, that's awesome. So let's go ahead and pour some Texas whiskey, shall we? I feel like I've been talking about it. I haven't been drinking it. So the reason I wanted to create this stream. Oh wow! So it's from Texas, Tennessee Sour Mash Whiskey from Texas. That is extremely misleading, and confusing. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that's one of those things. Like, if something is, they should put the state. I mean, where it's made. I mean, I think it's super deceptive not to. So the idea behind this stream was I just got my hands on a bottle of the new-ish. It's new as of probably end of last year. Balcones Texas Blue Corn Bourbon. Note it says bourbon. This is also pot distilled, 65% ABV. So it may not technically be cask strength. I thought it was cask strength, but 65% ABV, you're pretty much there. This is a somewhat new product. I got it the day it hit the shelves here. This was a little pricey. Not pricey in the scheme of things. It was about 55, I believe. But I wanted to compare it with the last little bit I had of this guy. This is also under the name True Blue. They both say True Blue. This one is 100 proof, but it's considered a corn whiskey, a straight corn whiskey. Now, I don't actually know. The one thing I don't know is if this is 100% corn. And I wondered that. So, was it Donnie? You were the one that was drinking the baby blue. The reason I ask is because the baby blue, I know on the website says made from 100% corn whiskey, blue corn whiskey, or blue corn. Like, that's what the whiskey's made of. This, though, interesting enough, doesn't say it, even though I just assumed this was the older version of that. It just says 100% of this whiskey is bottled. 100% of the whiskey in this bottle was born, raised, and bottled in Balcones, from mash to glass. So it doesn't actually say 100% corn whiskey. So I am curious. I do have Brimstone. I didn't bring it out tonight. I did a stream a few months ago where I did that one, and it completely blew my palate. It's an interesting beast for sure. Not my favorite flavor profile. I appreciate like the barbecuiness of it, but like in terms of drinkability, that's just like that completely blows your palate. So I did not bring it out tonight, but I did bring out a couple other surprises. So if you're new here, by the way, thank you for showing up. I do live streams on Thursdays, reviewing different whiskeys, chatting with you guys, hanging out. But I also do some produced videos every now and then. So if you're not subscribed, make sure to hit subscribe. I think it's down there. And of course, like this video. I always appreciate the likes. You guys are really good about liking things, so thank you for that. Oh, Lil, what's up? Good to see you. Happy Australian Friday. Donnie, maybe. I don't like to get up and leave the stream. Maybe we'll see. I always feel weird leaving the stream unless it's like an emergency where I forgot my water or something, but got my water this time, so we'll see. I don't like to leave people hanging, so maybe Donnie. If not, next hangout we'll do it. So I keep talking. Pour some freaking whiskey, Clifton. Okay, so we're gonna start with the True Blue. This is 100 proof. This is lower proof. I did want to start with the lower proof. Just to kind of do, and I have two glasses, so I'm gonna do a side by side comparison. And I can water down the bourbon too if we need to, just to make it a little more apples to apples, or corn to rye, or I don't know. I don't know the mash bill of their bourbon. That's another thing that I have to bring up. Did my camera just move? I thought it did. I do know that previously their pot still bourbon, which still says a pot still bourbon, they just have so many different labels, you guys. Previously, they said it was a 4-grain. So they said there was blue corn, Texas wheat, Texas rye, and Texas barley. I don't know if that's still the case. It doesn't really say it on the back of what the mash bill is. But it does say 100% of their mash is born from 100% mash of our cherished blue corn. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. I guess it could technically still be bourbon. Well, that's a twist. I didn't realize at the back it says it's made from a mash of 100% corn. So maybe they're calling it bourbon just because they can, because it's at least 51% corn. I really thought there was a difference, and that's the surprise, I guess. But I think it is still worth comparing because these are completely different products. They have a cask strength. So the reason I'm confused, here's why I'm confused. They have a cask strength corn whiskey labeled as a corn whiskey. But this new product is recently released, and it says bourbon. And I know previously their bourbon has been a different mash bill, but yeah, I guess I should have read the back before I posted the status. But born from 100% mash of our cherished blue corn. That's odd. Can anyone explain why they would want to put bourbon on some bottles and corn on the others? Because I know they do have a cask strength corn. Anyways, we're still going to compare these two because I think it's worth it. This one is a new product. This True Blue 100 proof has been out for a while. I wasn't able to get my hands on the True Blue. Wasn't able to get my hands on the True Blue cask strength. I don't think I've ever seen that in California. I know it's been out here, but I've never seen it. So this is the 100 proof version. So it's been proofed down a bit. So got that poured. let's go ahead and pour the bourbon slash corn whiskey. Don't ask me. Yeah, 51% or more corn to be called bourbon. I just think it's odd that they would release two products, right? They literally have a product called 100% blue corn, true blue corn whiskey, 100 proof. So I don't even know. That Peter, that could be the distinction, actually. That's actually a really good point. The corn whiskey could be in used barrels. There's got to be a reason. I mean, they may not reveal the reason behind it, but that is very likely a cause, because Balcones is very experimental. This one says it was aged for at least 27 months in oak. The other one says, I don't think it says aged at least 24 months. So about the same, a little bit older. And as you guys know, Texas whiskey, that stuff ages like freaking, I don't know. I was trying to think of like an analogy. Texas whiskey ages so quickly, and it's because the difference in temperature gets really hot and then gets really cold. It's basically the desert. So same with Las Vegas whiskey. If you guys have had what's it called, Smoke Wagon, that stuff has a very similar profile to Texas whiskey, which again kind of goes back to the thing: is it the Texas thing or is it just the heat? I am curious. So yeah, mellow corn. That's a very good point, Peter. Thank you for helping me, because I'm like, hopefully I'm not completely stupid. I know there's two labels. So let's go ahead and try the 100 proof true blue corn whiskey. So this is labeled as corn whiskey. Just want to make sure okay, cool. I have a couple group chats going, so I want to make sure they're silenced. So yeah, so let's try I set my glass down. Hold on, give me a second. And that's the cask strength. You guys, that's like a thing in my show. I always mix up my glasses. That's the 100 proof. Okay. So Donnie says, thank you for doing the research that I didn't do, Donnie. He says, oh, what's up? Oak and Smoke Whiskey Reviews. Check out their channel. They're really cool. I'm subscribed to them. Well, I subscribed to them a while back, but really, honestly, any whiskey review channel I'm a huge fan of. I love people spreading the word about whiskey, so check them out. By the way, Mash and Drum, he's not here right now, but he gave me a shout out on his stream yesterday, so I appreciate that. Although I feel like I kind of bought him out because I sent him a super chat, but I didn't ask for a shout out. So Brent, oh god, I'm so bad with names. I'm sorry, Brent. And I was like thinking of, I was waiting until someone else said it. Brent, I am so sorry. So let's Lily said we need a label. I know. So the front one is the 100 proof true blue corn whiskey, corn to the bottle. I'll read the back of this for you guys, just so you know a little bit about it. By the way, if you haven't heard of Balcones, first of all, they're a Texas distillery. If you missed that part, I guess if you're just now joining, but they are a Texas distillery. They were one of the first ones, as far as I know. So they basically say they picked 100 proof because of the Bottle and Bond Act. Although this isn't a bottled and bond whiskey, I think it's a little shady to mention the Bottle and Bond Act on the back of it. They said 100 proof has long stood for quality and authenticity. That's a little misleading. Yes, bottled and bond whiskeys are 100 proof, but that doesn't mean that a whiskey being 100 proof makes it authentic. So a little bit misleading there. But it does say 100% of the whiskey in this bottle was born, raised, and bottled at Balcones, from mash to glass. So that's the interesting thing. This guy right here, this is the True Blue corn whiskey. If you guys don't know, to be a corn whiskey, you have to be at least 80% corn. So it's a little bit stricter than the bourbon, but it doesn't say 100% corn whiskey. It says made from roasted blue corn. So maybe wouldn't that be odd if there was like rye and barley in the corn whiskey, but the bourbon is 100% corn? That's just odd. And Donnie, you did notice that the True Blue bourbon is an annual release. So I think this bottle actually, the bourbon came from last year, but I got it as soon as it hit California. Lil, have you had Texas whiskey yet at all? I am curious, because if you haven't, I mean, I definitely try it. I'm not discouraging it. I think everything's worth trying. It's very unique. I'll just say Texas whiskey in general. But let's go ahead and get to some tasting notes on the True Blue 100 proof corn whiskey. On the nose, I would say on the nose, you don't immediately detect this is a Texas whiskey. It's really dark oaky notes. Like the oak is on the nose, it's a bit overpowering. It has a little bit more of that. Donna, you mentioned brimstone earlier. It does have a little bit of that like charcoal, that smoked, burnt barbecue, a little bit on the nose. But it's not very strong. It's very sweet. It smells very, very pleasant. Honestly, I would not know this is a Texas whiskey based on the nose. It smells really, really good. I love oaky whiskeys and oaky bourbons, and this is definitely up there with that. In Kentucky. No, okay, so if you're familiar with it and you haven't tried Balcones, yeah, go to it. They have a really interesting lineup. Their rye, which I brought tonight, that's one of the surprises. Their rye is really interesting. It's one of the most interesting ryes I've ever had. Not my favorite rye, but one of my most interesting ones, I'll say. Steven's a big no in almost all Texas stuff he's tried. I'm kind of there with you, Steven. I would definitely prefer to drink a Kentucky bourbon, but at the same time, I don't know. Sometimes I crave something a little different. So very different, but very enjoyable. Very true. Trevor Wilson doesn't like Texas whiskey, so that has a funk. There is a funk. So guy says, what is sad about me hearing about Balcones is that when all the shit blew up with the lawsuit and guns be put on folks at their distillery, I was living in Dallas. Wait, what? I have not heard of that. What was going on? I did not know about that either. I guess I don't know much about their distillery in general. But yeah, on the nose, it's nice. It's almost, there's a note there, and it's like a meaty note, like not like a peaty Scotch. It has like a little bit of like a meat note. It's a little different. There's definitely some meat there. So let's go ahead and drink it. Cheers. It sure does taste like a Texas whiskey. So I think the funk that people get is almost like an over oakiness. But the weird thing is, so, like you have an older, let's say like an older Knob Creek pick. There is so much oak on that. But at the same time, a lot of Knob Creek picks, honestly, I've heard people say are too oaky. The same thing with like the older, like the 23-year-old Pappy, I've heard is really oaky and not that pleasant. This has that same strong oakiness, but at the same time, since it is such a young whiskey, this was only 24 months old. You get a lot of that bright, sweet, grainy note. So you're combining that dark, oaky note, which could be off-putting on its own, with a really bright presence that's very, very apparent. I mean, yeah, I'm going to take a second sip. Please do, guy. I'm really curious to hear about that. Yeah, so this is really sweet. Not in like a candy sweetness. It's more like it's like a barbecue sauce. It's really like, tastes like a burnt piece of steak. Like, growing up, my dad always burnt steak. Literally, I was taught as a kid that like if there's any pink or any like red on a steak, it's just like, ew, it's raw. Like I was the kid literally sitting at the dinner table when I saw there was pink on my steak. I was like, ew, put it back on the grill. Only because of the way I was raised, and that was what like was normal. So this has the taste of that burnt, overly charred steak. Not as much as the Brimstone. Brimstone's a whole other beast. But it's a little too, that's the funkiness that I think that Trevor Wilson was getting when he reviewed it. It's just not my favorite flavor profile, even though I love oaky whiskey. It is a little overpowering, but it is nice to change it up. And that's why I do want to, once I compare these two, the True Blue corn whiskey to the True Blue bourbon, I do want to compare it to the Iron Root Harbinger, which is to this point been my favorite Texas whiskey. Rhetoric 2425, yeah. If I had the money, you want to send me? Wait, no, you already sent me samples. Peter, I'm going to do your samples next week. By the way, one of your labels rubbed off, so I'm going to message you and find out what that one was. I think it's because it was like the reusable label, and it's completely illegible. So I'll message you later just to make sure it's straight before I go live. Or if I don't message you, I'll ask you on the stream. So. Steven, you've been away for a week and a half. Time to drink again. Yes. Well, like you said, you don't like Texas whiskey. Maybe don't start with Texas whiskey. Pour a glass of something good and let me know what you're drinking because I am curious. Some new guys in the new guys in the chat. I said guy, not guys. Some new guys and gals in the chat. Lil, if you're still here, hey, shout out. Let me know, what are you guys drinking tonight? I do want to know because I love hearing what you guys are drinking. It's awesome. And it makes me think like, what am I gonna drink after my stream? So. Big fan. Honestly, I'm a little sad this bottle's almost gone because I thought that I didn't like this bottle, but the more and more I revisit it every time, I enjoy it. It's not my favorite pour. I wouldn't say I would like always have this on hand, but I think a Texas whiskey is definitely worth keeping in your collection if you don't mind the flavor profile. But let's amp things up a little bit. Let's move on to the bourbon. So this one says bourbon as bold as Texas. The date on this is June 25th, 2019. I'm sorry that's not focusing for you. I think it's because it's reflective. Um, I still think it's odd. It literally, the back label starts exactly the same, but it says born from 100% mash of our cherished blue corn. So there they go, right up front. That's 100% corn, according to them. Could be wrong. 27 months, non-chill filtered or colored. So that's the big thing. Texas whiskey. I don't know if you guys can see how dark this is. That is like almost like, okay, it looks worse. No, actually, it doesn't look worse on camera. It does look that dark in real life. 27 months. 27 months in a barrel, and you get this kind of color. Yeah, this is 65% ABV. Yeah, that is dark. I didn't realize how dark it was, honestly. And I really can't compare it to the corn whiskey because it's almost gone, so I can't do a fair comparison there. But in the glass, it's dark too. It's not near. Oh, no, that's dark. That's real dark. That's like, oh my god, I can't imagine. Like, so if you had a Kentucky bourbon, how old would it have to be this dark? I would say at least 15 to 20 years, at the least. Yeah, it looks like a George C. Stack, absolutely. So let's go ahead and nose the bourbon. This is a little older. By a little older, I mean 3 months, but it's also 65% alcohol. So, cheers. Guy, oh, you changed it up to Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. Oh, it's so good. I had a friend come across a batch C918, which has been my favorite so far. Still on the shelf for $60, and he's like, "There's one bottle left." He knew I liked it. And he's like, "Do you want this Clifton?" I'm like, "Yes." I already have like 2 backups, so I was like, "Yes, I love Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, especially C918." So great choice, Guy. Steven is starting with his favorite Buffalo Trace pick that tastes like ice cream cake with frosting. Ooh, that sounds really good, Steven. I actually just picked up a Buffalo Trace pick from my local store, the K&L Wine Merchants, and I've told the story like several times in this chat, so apologies for repeating myself, but the very first bottle of Buffalo Trace I ever bought was a store pick, so I kind of set the bar really high to start with. So I haven't bought a bottle since, but I just picked up this store pick last week, and I tried it. I think it was last night, actually. I messaged the group, but God, it's delicious. For a sub $30 bottle of whiskey, the first one I got for $20. They literally were selling it for the same price as a regular Buffalo Trace, like a non-store pick. I don't know why, but they were. That was great. But this was like $29.99, and a big fan. I have a few Eagle Rare. I'm actually planning to do a lineup soon on the channel to do a bunch of Buffalo Trace product store picks, because I have Buffalo Trace store pick, I have Eagle Rare store pick, I have a Blanton store pick sample from Brandon, which you guys may have saw on the last stream. And I have a Weller, not foolproof store pick. Oh, I love Weller foolproof store pick, but I don't have one. But I have a Weller 107 pick. So I think I want to do a Buffalo Trace store pick night coming soon. So if you're not subscribed, again, hit the subscribe button. Just bought a C918 a month ago. Peter, have you tried it? It's fantastic. So got Rhetoric 25 recently. Yeah, how is that? I've never tried Rhetoric. I actually have no experience with them. Whew, on the nose, this hits you like a 65% ABV. I'm going to go back to this one real quick just to compare the True Corn. This is a lot smoother. You get a lot more sweetness on this one. This one, though, the bourbon, the 65%, kicks you in the face. Yeah, I mean, it's delicious, but it's way more oaky up front. This is almost like a Knob Creek oakiness on the nose. I don't get much of the sweetness at all, and there's almost a little bit of a funkiness. I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like not like a peat at all. Texas whiskey isn't peaty, but there's almost like I don't know how I would say it, an earthiness, I would say, to it. Steven, you're picking up your first Eagle Rare store pick whenever you come to Kentucky. Eagle Rare store picks, they are really, I think some of them have been like significantly better than the regular release. I have one right now. Saturday, I'm driving down and I pick up a 1.75 liter, the tall bottles of a different pick. So excited to try that one. And then my other local store just got another pick of it. So it's actually not a local store. It's close. I don't go there often, but they got their pick too. So soon I'm going to have 3 Eagle Rare picks. So maybe I'll just do a whole episode on Eagle Rare picks. I don't know. But it's fantastic. Peter opened his 24, but have a closed 25. How are they? What would you compare them to? Like, what is the most relatable whiskey you would compare them to? Because I am curious. I have no idea what their flavor profile is. I'm preparing myself for this pour. So, cheers. This is the wrong glass, but I knew it. Cheers. This is the Blue Corn Bourbon. Hot. Whew. Whew. That's like, you guys know I love Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. You guys know I love the Knob Creek 120 proofs. Oh my god, this burns. Wow. Whew. That drink's really hot. As someone that loves high proof drinks, loves Stag Juniors, I think this Balcones drink's really hot. But, don't get me wrong, it's delicious. I mean, I think the flavor profile on this one is significantly better than the lower proof True Blue, the younger True Blue bourbon. True Blue corn whiskey. There's more of the oakiness and there's not as much of the sweetness, but there's a lot more depth to the oakiness, and that proof brings that out. The finish just keeps going, probably because my throat's on fire, but it keeps going. That's a delicious whiskey. The finish is all oak, burnt steak. So if you don't like that burnt note that you get on like burnt meat, you may not like this. I have a little thing for it sometimes. I have to be in the mood for it, but you saw Kroger had Eagle Rare listed on the page. So by the time I got to work, 1920 will not let you down. So it's just like a regular. Honestly, regular Eagle Rare is so easy to come by out here. It's literally $26 on the shelf. Novelty pour for the age, Steven. Yeah, totally get that. I feel like that's the same with like a Pappy 23. Like you get it just for the novelty, not because you think it's the best whiskey in the world. God, that's hot one. So if you guys see this one, if you see it at that proof, especially because it's not that expensive. It was $55. I'd say try it. You know, definitely have an intro Texas whiskey first, because if you're combining that punch that it gives you with your first taste of Texas whiskey, you're gonna be overwhelmed. Your senses are just gonna be like, ugh, like you're gonna like just completely dismiss it. But being familiar with Texas whiskey, being familiar with high proof stuff, it drinks hot, but it's a good hot, but not like. So I wanted to quantify that. I don't mean that it's a good hot like it's like fantastic for the heat. I think Elijah Craig Barrel Proof and I think Stag Junior are a good hot. They are the perfect proof. This one, though, drinks a little too hot for me. I'm not the biggest fan. Yes, sorry, I missed your message, Steven. Go to Peerless. Hands down, favorite distillery tour I did in Kentucky. And I actually didn't even buy a bottle of any of their whiskey. I like their stuff, but I think it's a little pricey. But their tour, though, hands down my favorite tour in Kentucky. So please check it out. Donnie, you love Elytra 18. Funny enough, I'm actually not getting a whole bottle, but on Saturday I will be picking up 4 ounces of Elijah Craig 18 aging year. So I had a friend that actually was able to buy a bottle at retail from Total Wine, or maybe it wasn't Total Wine. Either way, he was able to buy a bottle at retail. I think it was like 150. And a lot of us were interested in trying it. So he's like, hey, I'll split it up into 2-ounce samples. I'll sell them for $11 each. So I was like, $11, I'm going to buy 2 of them. So I'm going to buy 1 to drink at the meetup on Saturday. I'm going to, and then 1 for, to review for you guys. So maybe more. We'll see how much I like it. I'm so excited to try it though. Oh, okay. So Steven, you've been there before. Okay. Yeah. They're awesome distillery. Cannot recommend them enough for a tour. Like I said, one of my favorite memories of Kentucky. So what now? So what I think I should do, I do want to make a pretty fair comparison. And I think it's pretty fair to compare this Balcones 65% alcohol bourbon with Iron Root Harbingers. This would have been a better thumbnail, like Battle of the Texas Whiskeys. Maybe I'll change the thumbnail. This one is a different distillery in Texas, but this is also their Cask strength release, 2019 edition. So it's an annual release. Damn, this would have been a better. Oh well, you guys are still here, so you guys are gonna see it. I just feel like the thumbnail, I should have, instead of focus on corn whiskey versus bourbon, I should have been Battle of the Texas Whiskeys. So maybe a revised thumbnail coming soon. So this one is 24 months old. It is 57.5%. So it's a little less than the Balcones. Wow, I'm getting like so many messages, you guys. So yeah, that's a good price. I think so too, Lil. Something I've never tried before. I am more than happy to pay that price. So let me. This is the True Blue. I'm just gonna dump it in my dump glass real quick. Um, rinse the glass. To be fair, gotta be completely fair when doing this comparison because why? And you know what? I may have a preference. So Donnie, your Harbinger is 27 months old. I do know they vary. This is just what my Total Wine had at the time. So this one is the Balcones, and this is the Iron Root, basically the competitor of that one. So I do want to try them side by side. I think that would be really fun. So this one's definitely a lot lighter. This is the same color level of the 24-month-old Balcones I have, which is interesting. Does 3 months really add that much color? Because if it does, that's crazy. Okay, noses are different, I will say. Balcones is oak, ethanol, really, really hot nose as well. Not only is it a hot flavor profile, but hot nose as well. Steven is switching to his favorite Kentucky Spirit pick that tastes like apple cider donuts. Ugh. I'm so ready for Kentucky bourbon after this. I didn't bring any out. I should have finished the stream with some Kentucky bourbon. Sounds fantastic. Steven, I have a new pick. Not a new pick. A pick from 2014 that I haven't opened yet. I'm so excited to try it. I love Wild Turkey too. I mean, you guys know. So the Harbinger, on the nose, it's a lot easier to get into. It's not overwhelming oak. I think Balcones, that's their thing. They're overwhelming oak, and it's just like boom, 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 oak, oak, oak. This though, it smells a lot sweeter, very caramely, very desserty, very candied. Oh, that smells delicious. Honestly, nose alone, I think Iron Root wins it. Robert Licorice, who? You're probably gonna tell me that's the master distiller for Balcones, aren't you? I actually don't know. I do not know the master distiller Balcones, so I don't know who Robert Licorice is. You drank it along with him, though. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I missed that stream, but I need to check it out. On the nose, the Harbinger smells great, so let's go ahead and taste it and see how it compares. Iron Root Master Distiller. Gotcha. Wow. I hate to say this, and I don't like... Especially with these small... Okay, the big distilleries like Heaven Hill, Jim Beam, Buffalo Trace, I don't mind saying, you know, this one's so much better than this one. But with these smaller distilleries, especially in Texas, I don't think they're all competing. I think they're trying to build a brand for Texas whiskey, which goes back to my intro question. Should Texas whiskey just be called bourbon, or should it be called Texas whiskey? Should Texas own the identity of their whiskey? Oh, licorice. Oh, interesting. That's kind of cool. But for my palate, my Kentucky sweet bourbon loving palate, I said it like I'm from Kentucky. I'm from South Carolina, in California. Otherwise, this Iron Root just hits the spot. This hits the spot, Steven. I know you said that you only get Balcones up there. I do really encourage you to try this Iron Root Harbinger. They have two releases. They have like a standard one, but they have like a cask strength one. This one right here. If you see this bottle, it'll probably be in Total Wine before anything else because that's where I only see it. Give it a try. I think it is another level. Again, I hate to compare them, but I think it's like next level compared to Balcones. I think they balance that extreme oaky charriness to it. It's still there a little bit, but super sweet. It has that Elijah Craig barrel proof sweetness. Not the depth. It doesn't have the finish of Elijah Craig barrel proof, but this is a lot more in my wheelhouse, loving cask strength Kentucky bourbon. And honestly, I think this sounds really bad. I'm sorry. If Balcones, I know I tweeted you about this stream. I appreciate what you're doing. Your rye is fantastic, which I'll finish the stream with your rye. That's what I'll do. But I think if I was going to ever buy another Texas whiskey again, Texas bourbon or a corn whiskey, I'm going to definitely get in my hands on another bottle of this. It's so well balanced. Donna, you said yours is 27 months old. How was yours? What do you think of it? Because I'm curious. I have heard that this is a lot of people's favorite, and I think it's because it's the most familiar to typical bourbon drinkers. I really like this glass. I'm gonna sip on this so hard. Whereas I'll go back to the Balcones just to make a little final comparison before I get onto the Balcones rye to finish out the night. By the way, if you're new here, I try to keep my streams like an hour or less, so no worries. I've just got like 20 more minutes to work with here, so I appreciate you hanging out though. It's been pretty consistent tonight, so thank you guys. I just feel a little like, because I went to Mash and Drum stream last night and he had like 200 viewers. Like, I was like jealous, but like I get it. I obviously don't have the setup behind me. I'm in my bedroom, and I might be moving in like 2 weeks. I don't know. It's a weird apartment situation currently. So he puts way more effort into his videos than I do. So I completely understand. But it's like, but I appreciate every single one of you guys. So cheers. We're going to the Balcones to do one little final taste of that. You know, going back to it, it's really not that bad. I just think it's a little less refined than the Harbinger. But if you like that big, bold, smoky oak taste of whiskey, especially if you like the brimstone, like Donnie, you mentioned it earlier, Balcones is for you. But for me, I like a more balanced, easygoing bourbon. Even if it's cask strength, I want it to be more a balanced flavor. So I would pick the Harbinger over the Texas bourbon from Balcones, personally. Donnie says he does like the Harbinger. He really enjoyed it. Okay, yeah. See, I think it's different than Kentucky, but I think first of all, their bottle's sexy as hell. That's really sexy. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, Donnie, yeah. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna move on to the Texas rye from Balcones. Now that's an interesting one, and you know why it's more interesting now than it was when I first bought it? I'll tell you once I rinse my glass. So I bought this rye whiskey after going to a whiskey festival that Balcones was at, out here in LA actually, and I thought it was the most unique tasting whiskey I had had that night. Now I didn't have the brimstone at the time, so that was definitely most unique, but it was there was something about it that just like stood out as being unique. And like, you guys know I love rye whiskey. From anywhere from the Dickel rye, the Bullet rye, I'm super. That's the high proof stuff. The cheap budget MGP rye, I love it, but I also love higher end Pikesville rye. I have a bottle of Thomas H. Handy that I haven't opened yet. Special occasion, saving it. It'll be open eventually. Yeah, I have a thing for rye, but this is on another level. This is so different. I have a tad bit of an accent. You say older as odor. Older. So much older. Oh, yeah, so much older. I'm from South Carolina, I'm sorry. Is that not normal? Do I say that weird? Older? Well, now that I'm pronouncing it, I feel like I'm focusing on it. Older. So much older than this. So much older than that. Okay, yeah. I'm from South Carolina, you guys. I'm sorry. I live in California currently, but like, them southern roots are strong. I'll say that Southern Charm, but no. Not a fan of that show. Anyways, like I was saying, I thought their rye was the most interesting thing I tried that night. Now, the thing that is why I say it's more relevant now, they use chocolate and roasted rye. Now, you may have heard about chocolate rye recently, especially if you're in the whiskey community. Otherwise, you're like, what is this guy talking about? Woodford released a Masters collection, I think is what it's called, chocolate rye, but it's not a rye. They use the chocolate rye in their bourbon. So they use the same grain as Balcones. This was my first experience with the chocolate rye. Strength. I'm going full southern, like strength. It's so much stronger. No, I'm not gonna do that. Wait till I say, oh yeah, coffee. Chocolate malted rye, that's true. Donnie, I was just going about the way, they didn't say the malted part on the back, but it is a chocolate and roasted rye. And so when I first heard people saying like, it tastes like chocolate, I was like, no, it doesn't. When they talk about the Woodford. Because I didn't get I went into buying this Balcones rye knowing that it wasn't going to taste like chocolate, but knowing that it had a very unique note. However, Once people started saying that the Woodford tasted like chocolate on the finish, I'm like, I gotta give that a try because I did not get that. Revisiting this, there's some chocolate, and at first I was like, well, that's just the name of the rye grain. Yes, it is the name of the rye grain, but how do you think it got that name? Obviously, some chocolateness on it. So I'm sorry about all the traffic outside, you guys. Oh, that's super comforting. It honestly noses. Again, maybe I'm a little misled by the chocolatiness of it. It noses like a good warm hot chocolate. Spicy, a little funky, a little oaky, but it's just as comforting as a hot chocolate or like marshmallows by the fire. I feel like it's a good combination of like hot chocolate and marshmallows and caramel. I was gonna say bourbon, but like that's not a good note. Donnie says the Harbinger is better than Baby Blue. Yeah, I would agree. I think most people would probably agree with that. Oh, what is that? And a Lucia Striker. I've never heard of that one. You're gonna have to tell me about that one. I'm very curious. I've never heard of that. I'll just make sure I didn't miss something earlier. Yeah, Brent, you gotta tell me about that because I honestly have never heard of that. But the nose on this rye though is fantastic. So let's go ahead and drink it. Cheers. So I'm making some weird faces. At first, it drinks so amazing. Then there's like a little bit of there's like a little bit of weirdness there, like on the mid palate. But the finish smooths out. It's almost like you just ate a dark chocolate bar, but like a smoked dark chocolate. That sounds really weird, but like almost like an espresso bean kind of quality to a dark chocolate. I honestly like this is gonna be weird, but like I almost feel like this would be a great entry level Texas whiskey for someone. I know that's a little odd because it's nothing like the bourbon, but it accentuates what I think Texas whiskey is flavor profile wise. It has that strong oak influence, but it smooths it out way better than I think the bourbon does. I mean, especially the Balcones bourbon. Like I appreciate you, but like it's a little overwhelming. But the rye, it is gentle with that chocolate, and I think it gives you a good intro into Texas whiskey. Smoky Texas whiskey. Oh, interesting. Have you? Well, your name's Oak and Smoke. Have you tried, as Donnie was mentioning earlier, the brimstone? You know what? You guys have stuck around so long. I'm gonna get the brimstone before I end the stream. Do you guys want me to go grab it now? But please promise to stick around. If you're watching right now, I'll feel so bad if you guys leave when I'm literally, it's right in the other room. Like I will be back in 30 seconds if I go get it. If you guys want me to go get it, tell me go get it or something in the chat. I'll go get it because it was Donnie's request. Not as smoky as brimstone. Okay, because brimstone is like extremely smoky. Oh, this Harbinger is so good. Okay, Steven says grab it. I know, but like I hate leaving the stream. I don't have a Sarah to like cover for me. So okay, everyone says go get it. You guys better not leave. There's 10 viewers right now. If you guys leave, I may have to kill you. Just kidding. Be right back. 30 seconds. Count me, Lilith. Count me. Let's go. Oh wait, hold on. Mute the mic. Here we go. Now, starting now. Okay, minor delay. Sorry, my cat came in the room. I had to take him out because I didn't want to close the door behind him. But I'm back. Sorry about that. Like literally, I was like, I'm gonna make it. But then the cat came in the room. I was like, I really don't want to close him in here. So thank you guys for waiting. You guys are all here. What's up? Aaron, thanks. Okay, yeah. So where were we? Wouldn't it be hilarious if I grabbed the wrong bottle? I was like, here we go. I'm like, oh shit, no. Talisgrad. Oh no, that's just like it's like a logo. I mean, I honestly I'm due for a rebranding, and I've been working with Perry from This Is My Bourbon podcast. Which, by the way, shout out to This Is My Bourbon podcast. Good friends of most of you guys here. Check them out. They have a wonderful podcast. But anyways, he's kind of been talking through ideas with me, like a rebranding for these reviews. So keep an eye out for. You may notice that like my username just randomly changes at some point. But don't worry, you'll still be subscribed if you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, hey, hit the subscribe button. So let me finish off the Harbinger. Oh, that's so good. The Harbinger is so good. I definitely want to finish the Harbinger before I drink the Brimstone. That's for damn sure. Favorite Texas whiskey right there. Ironroot Harbinger. You were doing all the right things. You're sweet. It's almost like a honey lightness on the palate that I think I get. You know what's weird is I get like a lot of that honey on like a Scotch or like a Japanese whiskey. I don't get it often on bourbon, but that's fantastic. No, Johnny, we're at the end. I'm in the last 8 minutes of my stream, so now is the time for the Brimstone. Oh, let me get final thoughts on the rye. Yeah, it's still a little upfront with that oakiness, but at the same time, I think that chocolate finish really does benefit it. Um, sorry, I saw your message. You said the last time I sipped on Brimstone, I was brushing my teeth the following morning, still taste it. Yep, it's literally like a cigar. It lingers like that. I only smoke cigars when I'm hanging out with whiskey drinkers. I don't. First of all, I don't like have a place to smoke it here where I'm at, but. You know how a cigar, like you smoke a cigar the next morning, you taste it like all morning. Brimstone does me the same way. So Steven, while I think of that question, he asks, what distillery do you think will steal 2020 when it comes to releases? While you think of that, I'm going to pour some Brimstone, why don't we? And before I try it, I'll let you guys know what it is, because, I mean, honestly, Texas whiskey is very unfamiliar to a lot of people, myself included, other than these two brands. So I'll tell you what Brimstone is, but that's a really interesting question, Steven, and I wish I would have contemplated it before I had, 5 drinks I've had so far. So everyone keeps asking, who was the distillery of the year for 2019? My answer has always been Jim Beam. And I say that because not only did they have a major, they were putting out some 14 to 15-year-old Knob Creek store picks. They had a label redesign there. They reduced that back to the 9-year, more towards the 9-year. They're putting the 9-year age statement back on their Knob Creek small batch. Not yet, but coming soon. It's been widely discussed. It's coming soon. They have a new 12-year Knob Creek. They have completely revamped the Baker's lineup. It's now a single barrel. It's in a sexy ass bottle. I have one I'm picking up tomorrow. So excited to try that. I'll review that for you guys. I think Jim Beam just killed it last year. But for 2020, that's a really interesting thought. I don't really know enough about what's coming. I think Larceny Barrel Proof is a huge addition. I'm so excited. I'm picking up a bottle of that on Saturday. So excited to try that. Juan, you'll be there with me. Let's try that Larceny Barrel Proof and see how it is. Yeah, I don't know. Heaven Hill is sorry, Donnie. I'm talking about the Baker's 7-year. I did not get a Baker's 13-year. Tried. When I went to Kentucky, Swan had just bought his bottle. He's like, "Look what I got," and he opened it. I was like, he didn't open it. He opened it up, but he bought it for Chad and Sarah for their uncorking of it. So I was like, "Oh, I want it so bad." New Jim Beam single barrel. Steven, that's a good point. I mean, damn, maybe Jim Beam will kill it in 2022. We don't know, but I think Heaven Hill with their Larceny Barrel Proof. I think that's a huge, huge deal, and I'm so excited to try it. Wild Turkey's your dark horse for 2020. Hey, maybe they'll put out some good stuff. Very True Lil. They opened their new visitor center. They got some surprises up their sleeve. I will say, no diss on Heaven Hill. I love their products. I did the distillery tour before they opened their new center, and I was a little less than impressed. We didn't go in a rick house. We didn't really do much of anything. We just talked about like the history of bourbon, like the most generic stuff. It was honestly a very sad tour. I was not a fan of the Heaven Hill tour. This was just their basic tour that I did with Chad and Sarah. We went to their meetup. Sorry, I missed your question. Have you got a chance to try the four gate? I have not, but we have a friend. Juan and I have a friend that bought like 3 different four gate releases. So hopefully we will try that soon. Maybe not. Rare breed rye. Oh, Steven, don't tell me. Master's Keep Bottle and Bond. Oh, okay. You know what? If they actually release these products, you might have a winner there. So yeah, Buffalo Trace. I mean, I feel like they kind of like Foolproof though. 2019. I will say Foolproof literally put Buffalo Trace pretty high up there in 2019 for me because Foolproof is so good. Okay. Anyways, Lil, I don't know what tour I did. It was with Chad and Sarah. It was part of their Here for the Booze meetup. I don't know. It was a very basic. It wasn't anything complex at all. Weller single barrel, maybe. We'll see. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But now we're about to end our night with some Balcones Brimstone. I told you guys I would tell you what it is. So what this is it takes their whiskey. It just says their whiskey, and they smoke it with sun-baked Texas scrub oak. The result is a whiskey full of fresh, youthful corn. Note the youthful corn. I'll come back to that in a second. And light fruit notes married with a bold smokiness. Well, you guys, I want to show you one little note on the back. Benchmark releases. Oh, you guys are like mentioning all the like things. Who knows? Honestly, we're in February. We have a long way to go. I do want to show you guys one thing though. Please show up. There we go. So right below where it says non-chill filtered, as always, look what it says. Aged at least 1 day in oak. You read that right. 1 day. I have no idea how old this whiskey is. I also noticed they say non-chill filtered, but you know what? Their other releases say non-chill filtered or colored. This is the only one that just says non-chill filtered. Age at least 1 day. It doesn't say not colored. It's very questionable. Very, very questionable, but whew. So when I said burnt steak earlier, this is like you transition from the steak and you go to like the pork. I'm a huge barbecue fan. Honestly, that's what I miss the most about South Carolina living in California. I love barbecued meat. And in California, barbecue is like, oh, we cooked some hot dogs on the grill and made some hamburgers. That's barbecue. No. You Southerners know. Barbecue is smoked meat, pork. It doesn't have to be pork. Beef brisket. Barbecue is so delicious. And honestly, on the nose, if I could just smell this all day, if this was a freaking candle, oh my God, I love it. It smells like a barbecue joint. I love that about it. But when you get to tasting it, that's where things go a little awry. But no, sorry, I was gonna make a dumb joke. A little awry, but it's not awry. No. So to finish off the night, for my last pour of the night, here's to all you Southerners and Southern food lovers. We're gonna drink some Balcones Brimstone. And Donnie, I hope you have it with you because you told me to go get this. Cheers. And Diana, if you're there too. Diana, you gotta have a sip of it too. Cheers. If I ever come to Memphis, take me to Great Barbecue. Yes. I have not been to Memphis. I've been to Gatlinburg and I've been to Pigeon Forge. I've not been to Memphis. Oh, it smells so good. I don't want to drink it to ruin it. Okay, let's drink it. Cheers. Having come from drinking high proof stuff, this one is 53% ABV, so 106 proof. It's not that intense, but that finish just stays with you like you just smoked a cigar. It's still, I can already tell it's lingering. Steven, you have not had real Southern barbecue. I was gonna say we're not gonna meet up. If you go down to Kentucky, there's some really good barbecue in Kentucky. So I'll send you the name of the place that I went to. It was this little joint Ian and I were there after we did the Castle and Key tour, really close by Castle and Key. So if you know that area, it's this tiny little place, but their barbecue was fantastic. So yes, Steven, trust me, it's as good as people say it is. Trust me. That being said, I love New York too. I love what do you guys do? Bagels? No, you guys do sandwiches. You guys do like pastrami sandwiches. New York does fantastic sandwiches, and I can attest to that. I will taste the brimstone tomorrow morning. I definitely will. It's not an off-putting flavor if you're used to that barbecue smoked meat flavor. I just don't know if I would want to be drinking it. Okay, glad to drink it with you, Donnie. I'm glad I pulled it out because you know what? Screw it. I don't drink it very often. This is the perfect occasion to drink it. So as you can tell, it's been sticking around for a while. It's been like 2 years. Bagels, pastrami pizza. Yeah, gotcha. Oh yeah, God, I have never had I've never had or any Balcones product with actual barbecue because we can't get actual barbecue. Oh my God. Okay, final story for the night. I went to a barbecue place in basically the Beverly Hills part of California, and if you don't know, that's like the ritzy kind of upper class one. I paid. It was literally okay. We shared it. It was a group, but we paid literally almost $20 for like 1 pound of like barbecue. Like it was just basic pulled pork. It was ridiculous, and that's what makes me miss the South. The barbecue in the South, first of all, it's affordable as hell. You could buy a whole plate and get stuffed for like what, $13, $14. It was just like bougie barbecue, and it wasn't really. It had the flavor. It was good. Don't get me wrong, it was good. But like, I miss a good old freaking beef brisket. I don't know. So that's my Southern rant for the day. But thank you guys for sticking around. We made it to 7 o'clock. I am so glad that there are some new faces here. Lots of familiar ones, of course. But I will be doing next week. Okay, don't unsubscribe. But next week I will be doing some Canadian whiskeys. Thanks to our viewer Peter. He sent me some samples, and you guys know I don't have very much experience with Canadian whiskey. I've had Crown Royal. I've had Canadian Club. He sent me some really good higher proof options from Canada that I'm really excited to explore. So stick around. If you're new here, subscribe. I keep saying that over and over, but I do appreciate all the subscriptions. I'll be live next Thursday at the same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And until then, I'm here to help you drink good whiskey. And, oh, sorry. So, Lil, I'm going to mention a comment. Australia has good barbecue. I have heard that too. So, go to Australia. Maybe I'll be there, Lil, to get Australian barbecue. Anyways, Texas whiskey in general is good whiskey. Whether you consider it a bourbon or not, that's up to you. But I can say for damn sure, Texas makes some really good whiskey. So, cheers. Happy Friday tomorrow, or happy freaking Saturday. Lil, I don't even know about Australia at this point. You're probably Saturday already. I'm just kidding. But cheers. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye.